News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. The Supreme Court has restored broad access to the abortion pill mifepristone. Bloomberg Supreme Court reporter Greg Storr on Bloomberg Intelligence.
It allows mifepristone, this abortion drug, to continue to be mailed to patients as it has been for years, at least temporarily.
The justices have temporarily blocked last week's ruling that restricted access to the medication by mail, one of the main ways that pill is provided across the country. The ruling, signed by Justice Samuel Alito, will allow women access to the pill through pharmacies or through the mail without an in-person visit to the doctor. The Supreme Court's order applies until May 11th to give the court more time to fully study the issue. The U.S. military says 2 American-flagged merchant ships have successfully transited the Strait of Hormuz, and that Navy-guided missile destroyers in the Persian Gulf were helping to restore shipping traffic. The military also denies Iran's claims to have struck an American Navy vessel. Wayne Sanders is a senior defense research analyst at Bloomberg Intelligence.
This is going to be one of the most highly contested areas of the Straits, is going to be that area because it is the most risky. Doesn't mean that you can't defend against it, but if you have a shoulder-fired missile, you have a lot less time to react to that strike and be able to knock it down before it actually would hit a ship.
Retired Colonel Wayne Sanders was a guest on Bloomberg Surveillance. The United Arab Emirates has issued a missile threat warning after an oil tanker was hit by Iranian drones outside the strait. The UAE's defense ministry says it detected 4 cruise missiles coming from Iran. 1 fell into the sea and 3 others were, quote, dealt with successfully. And stocks fell from all-time highs as oil climbed on concerns that heightened Middle East tensions could threaten a fragile ceasefire. We check those markets for you all day long here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 is down 0.5%. NASDAQ down 0.5%. The Dow down 0.9%. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.44%. The 2-year yield at 3.96%. WTI is more than 3% higher at $105 a barrel. And Brent crude is now more than 5% higher, nearing $114 a barrel. U.S. transportation stocks plunged this morning after Amazon announced expanded logistics offerings. Amazon will offer freight, distribution, and fulfillment and parcel shipping to businesses beyond Amazon sellers, including companies like 3M and Land's End. The announcement could be a watershed moment for North American freight transportation companies, with air freight companies and parcel carriers likely to take the hardest hit. Amazon shares have advanced 1%, FedEx shares have fallen nearly 10%, and UPS shares nearly 10% lower. Former New York Fed President Bill Dudley says outgoing Fed Chair Jay Powell's decision to stay on as a Fed governor will help reassure Wall Street and the public after President Trump's pressure campaign to lower rates.
The Fed has been under merciless attack from the president, and the Fed's independence is under question. And I think Powell thinks that by staying on the Fed, that's going to actually bolster the Fed's the perception of the Fed's independence.
Powell's term as chair ends May 15th. Dudley, a Bloomberg opinion columnist, tells Bloomberg Surveillance that when Kevin Warsh does step in as chair, he will have opportunities to make changes. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche has announced a wide-ranging investigation into potential antitrust violations by the meatpacking industry.
In the beef industry, the big 4 processors control over 85% of the beef processing market. 2 of the big 4 are primarily foreign-owned. We prioritized investigating potential antitrust violations. High concentration in the industry indicate anti-competitive activity.
Blanche says the Department of Justice has reviewed more than 3 million documents in the probe, investigating whether the companies engaged in criminal anti-competitive conduct, including price fixing, market collusion, or bid rigging among competitors. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani remains hospitalized with reportedly pneumonia. Giuliani's business partner, Tom Van Essen, tells the New York Post he's in critical but stable condition. Giuliani is 81 years old. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris, and this is Bloomberg.